Yes, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. It's Manchester United versus Chelsea at Old Trafford, and we've got some early team news. It's going to be a big game today. Look, if we beat Chelsea, we go 3 points behind them and 4 points behind title-challenging Arsenal. So it's time to swing that narrative, one might say. Hopefully, you can see this team alongside me on your screens at the moment. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on the lineup, on the game in general. Are any of you guys nervous or anxious or confident or any of those feelings that are revolving at the moment? Do let me know. But the starting lineup for Manchester United today against Chelsea, and both of them are really strong, by the way. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think there's going to be goals in this. We've got Onana in net. We've got Nistelrooy, De Ligt, Lissandro back at centre-back, and Diego Dalot, we think, at left-back, but it could be Nistelrooy at left-back. Ugarte, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes in the midfield, which I like. And then we have Garnacho on the right-hand side, Rasmus Højlund up top, and then Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side. So I'd say, I don't know if you guys would agree, but is that our strongest team? Probably. On paper, at least, yeah, I think it is. I thought when we first signed Ugarte initially, I thought he would be alongside Casemiro. I literally can go back and watch the video. I said these two together can play. And I think Casemiro can get forward a little bit more, express himself. He has that more freedom. He looks happier. He doesn't have to worry as much about the defensive responsibility. But likewise, out of possession, he can sit in alongside Ugarte and break up play, which I really like, that kind of blend of both. And I think obviously Ruud does as well. Now, obviously, it'd be a question if Christian Eriksen was fit, would he be in that side? That's the big question. But he isn't available, so you have to go with that midfield. But I think it's decent. If you're gonna look, you're gonna be dealing with Caicedo, Lavia, Cole Palmer today. Three of them in really good form, and they've looked good, and they all have individual qualities. And then you've got the attack in front of them to worry about as well, in terms of Neto, Jackson, Cole Palmer, and Madueke, who again all have different qualities. You've got Neto, who's the speed merchant. He'll beat you 1v1. Very tricky, which I worry about depending on who he's up against, if Dalot's on that right-hand side. But then likewise with Madueke, chops and turns, he makes it difficult. Jackson will always, he's a runner. He's a little bit like Højlund in that sense, where he's a channel runner. He'll just cause problems. And then not only just that, you've probably got the best player in form right now in the Premier League. And with someone like Manuel Ugarte, if you're ever going to implement what Fergie should have done with Park Ji-sung on Messi, or, when Park Ji-sung did it to Pirlo or Herrera on, is it Hazard or De Bruyne, literally follow him to the toilet. I would like to see that implemented today. Just say to Ugarte, look, your job is to stop him ticking, stop him playing, and really frustrate him in the middle of the park. And I could see him put, a few fouls. I could see him getting, I would say a couple of yellow cards then, but obviously be sent off. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think there's going to be goals in it. For anyone who's asking about Chelsea's lineup, they've got a really strong team as well. They have got Roberto Sanchez in net, who, look, he's not the best. He's someone you could definitely target. Reece James starting at right back's an interesting one. If Marcus is over on the left-hand side, I think that's going to be tricky for both, potentially. Reece James just coming back from an injury, but we know when he's fully fit and available, extremely quality. Likewise with Luke Shaw, because we have similar issues there, right? And then we have Fofana and Colwell as your centre-back partnership, who have started together quite frequently. So no real surprise there. Gusto at left-back, we're presuming. And then you've got Lavia, Caicedo, Palmer, Madueke, Neto, and Jackson. So really strong teams, actually, and I think really competitive as well. I said in the preview when I did it, it's going to be, 3-2, did I say, or 4-3, I think, potentially. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. How are we feeling? Talk to me. We've got Borvranges Thong Saspi saying hi. Daryl saying, hello, mate. Really looking forward to the game. Think it's going to be tough, but I'm confident on a win. Dino Lewis also saying, I'm fancying a 3-2 win, lads. Sancho is ill. Of course he is. He'd be ineligible anyway to play. So, even if he was fit and available or whatever's going on with him at the moment, which I don't know, he would be ineligible effectively. So yeah, it doesn't really matter on that sense. But that's one thing I didn't want anyway. That narrative, if he came on and got an assist, fucking hell, we would never ever hear the end of it, would we? So that's a positive, I suppose, you could take before the game. But let's talk about the team lineup together. So that back line, again, I'd like to see Euro come into it eventually at some point. Obviously, you got Amarin coming in, so we'll end up having 3 centre-backs anyway. But De Ligt and Lisandro as a partnership, haven't convinced me enough, personally. I said at the start of the season, Lisandro's had a pretty bad start. He's not looked himself. I don't think he's great at defending channels. I don't think he's particularly great 1v1 against quick players. And if you're looking at Jackson and Neto, who could potentially be over that side, I think he could cause some problems. Obviously, on the ball, we know his qualities. We know he's fantastic. That's great. But they just haven't convinced me enough. And do you know what? When De Ligt first initially came in, I remember saying, I like the leadership qualities that they have. Like, you can never doubt those 2 characters individually will give you 100% every single game. You've seen De Ligt cut on his head, bleeding. I want to carry on. Lisandro's the same thing. They're both warriors, right? There's no question about that at all. My issue is more on the physical side. So I'm not talking about strength with De Ligt, but more pace. I'm not sure he's quick enough. You see all these teams now playing a higher line. Your Van der Ven, Salibas, Van Dijks, Canates. Like, I'm not saying every defender has to be like that, but a modern centre-back nowadays in successful teams, even go to Man City when you talk about a Kanji, those kind of physical players who are good enough to deal with players individually 1v1, but they're also fantastic on the ball as well. And I think De Ligt is good, he's smart, he's strong, his positional sense is typically pretty good, but he dives in, he gets caught a couple of times, similar to how Maguire did a little bit, when he was going through that patch that he was. And I don't think he's quick enough with that, with the recovery pace, and Lisandro isn't either. So you almost see a bit of like, I don't know what the right word is to use, but they're a bit worried, aren't they? Like, if they step up too far, they could get caught easily. So that's why they don't convince me. That's why I'm saying when Euro comes in, and if Ruben Amarin comes in and switches to that back 5, and you have 3 centre-backs there, then I think you've got enough cover, because what will happen is Lisandro will go out into the left centre-back, Matheus De Ligt on the right centre-back, or in centre, kind of commanding it, and then Euro will go on the right, because Euro defending channels is really, really good. Of course, there's still that question mark about Lisandro in that area, and his work there. Who knows if Luke Shaw does get fit, which seems impossible at the moment. Maybe he'll come into that back 5, because he's really comfortable as your left centre back as well. And then you need to talk about wing backs, etc. But as a pairing, they don't convince me enough at the moment. I have to be completely honest with you. Nistelrooy Mazraoui, since he's come in as a signing, I think he's been fantastic. He had a couple of shaky games near the Tottenham game, I think it was. But apart from that, he's been pretty spot on. Really, competent in possession, smart, quick enough again. Yeah, it just offers a lot of solutions in a lot of areas, which is nice. And then Dalot, for me, if you watch the past couple of pros and cons that I've done over the course of 3-4 weeks, he's been in really bad form, Dalot. He's been caught out quite a few times in a lot of games. So, am I confident with him going into this game? I don't think I can say I am. I think he's been off the mark. Quite literally off the not marking players and not shutting down crosses quick enough. And all the references I've been through in terms of games, you can go back and watch them all. He's not even against Leicester the first half an hour. I was like, a little bit shaky. So he doesn't convince me in the slightest, whatever side he's on. If he's at right back or left back, I think Madueke or Neto could have his number today. So that's a concern. But midfield, Bruno, Ugarte, Casemiro, I prefer to see that, especially in the bigger games. Look, I think you can get away with Christian Eriksen, with him being one of our best players in form at the moment, going up against I don't know, a Crystal Palace or something like that. It's fine, because we saw in the Crystal Palace game, you have the majority of possession. You need someone creative picking those kind of passes and creating space. That's all right. I think against Chelsea, I think they're going to have the majority of the ball. I think you're going to need Casemiro and Ugarte breaking up play. And Casemiro, what is good, Ugarte will keep it simple, but what Casemiro can do as well, those first-time passes in behind for Rashford, Garnacho, Højlund, are very, very important to catch a team off guard. So I like Casemiro and Ugarte together there. Bruno Fernandes, I thought, was much better against Leicester. Both of them could have had a hat-trick as well. I know it was a very heavily rotated team, but I felt like it was better. They looked better. So I'm hoping they carry that confidence and form into this game. But this is where the measuring stick comes in, because a lot of people got carried away a little bit against Barnsley when we scored 7 goals. It's like, finally, hopefully this will give them some confidence. Let's crack on. Let's go into the next game and let's see how we get on. And then we go play Crystal Palace and we draw 0-0. And you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I've got my hopes up for no reason whatsoever. So Yeah, it's almost like fake confidence almost with the United lot, I feel like. I try not to get too heavily invested in how a team performs, especially in like a cup fixture. So that's the midfield. And we're going to discuss obviously other dynamics tactically, Chelsea's team and other little bits. But I just want to go through this last front three. Garnacho, Højlund and Marcus Rashford. Like I said before, I think Marcus Rashford's going to have a tough time against Reece James. Gusto's a very competent wing-back. But I think we can get at him. I think the centre-back partnership, although they've got a lot of potential and a lot of talent, I think they lack experience and leadership like they had with Thiago Silva, let's say, for example. Someone in Thiago Silva, I don't know how old he is now, 38, 39. He's been around the block. He's played for Brazil in extreme high-pressure games. Same thing with PSG in big Champions League games. He's been around the block, hasn't he? He's played for a lot of, he's played a lot of games, should I say. Not for a lot of teams. And when you take that out, you do kind of miss it. And if you listen to Chelsea fans at the moment, they talk about the most vocal leaders are like Colwell and Fofana. But they're young kids. Who is that leader in the team? They are a bit inexperienced. They are a bit naive still. I think if you blend some experience into that Chelsea team, I think there'll be a real threat. And I think that's why people are not really hanging a hat on them, saying they're definitely going to be title contenders or what have you. But I think you look at the performance against Liverpool last week, that tells you everything you need to know where they're at. And even in the first game of the season against Man City, there was something there that you could watch, that you could see that was tangible, that you was like, yeah, I can see what they're trying to do here. They look good. And Maresca's done a good job there. And hopefully Amarin will have the similar impact coming in and we can see a clear identity off the bat. Because Chelsea last year, I was saying it on the preview that we did with me, Sam and Shreyas. Chelsea last year, everyone was taking the piss out of them. They were the class clowns. They were the one, like, even though we were bad and we finished 8th, we were still like, look at the state of this lot. What on earth is Todd Bowler doing? Blah, blah, blah. And now they've gone above us and they're looking good and decent. Everyone's talking about them and we're kind of sat there like, right, okay then. So, yeah, it's interesting in football how the narrative can flip, right? Very interesting. How to become a member. So you click the join button next to the notification bell, Borvan. Just next to the notification bell it is. And you get exclusive content, badge next to your name, and other little cool perks. So if you want to do that, then yeah, feel free to, mate. Yeah. What do we feel, though? What do we feel? Like Usyk would say, I feel. We'll get the quotes coming in from the manager real soon. Both managers. What's going on with Spurs as well? Because I was just literally watching that game. And then obviously I've come to do live to talk about the United game. So what I might do is I might just put it on the screen if I can. So bear with me 2 minutes. Just so I can keep an eye on it. Because I think Spurs have gone 1-0 up. From what I heard. Oh no, it's on Now TV, isn't it? What am I doing? I was thinking, is it on Discovery? I'm looking at Now TV. No. Let's get Now TV on. And then we can keep it. It might it's probably finishing soon, isn't it? To be fair. Where we at? My account. Sign in. Oh, it's making me do all the login and stuff. Should be already be logged into it. What's it talking about? Don't piss me off. Really piss me off. Right, there we go. Now TV. Come on. How to watch. Sorry, guys. Appreciate this is not great looking, but I just want to get this game on. Also for Fantasy I team as well. You know what I mean? Oh, it was 82nd minute, I think. 3-1. Oh my goodness me. Who scored for Villa? For Tottenham. Solanke twice. Oh. Interesting. Right, I'll keep that on the back burner. Sorry, I know this is a United preview. I was just really curious to see what was going on in that game. Spurs have turned it on in the last 10 minutes. That's from Daryl. So a massive win for that, innit? For them over Aston Villa. Huge win. Because you look at the Premier League table now, and this is how quick the narrative can change with that. Really, like, what are they? Spurs are up to 7th now on 16 points. 2 points behind Aston Villa. And they've had a pretty shit time. Tottenham Villa have done really well. They've only lost 2 all season, I think, top of the Champions League table. It can flip, and that's why I'm saying you can relate it to United situation, because if we go and beat Chelsea today, we go, I think, 3 points behind them and 4 points behind Arsenal. You know, if you literally string a run together in the Premier League, like a bit of form, you can get yourself right back up there. It's really, really competitive this season. 11 points, obviously Liverpool on 25, that's a big stretch, but I'm talking like top 4 in general. Villa, Chelsea, Spurs, Brighton, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Brentford, Fulham, United. There's like literally 6 points between them all. So the points are there for the grabbing. You go and beat Chelsea today, that's how you flip the narrative, and that's how you start talking about top 4 again. I don't think United will do it anyway, personally, but I'm just saying that's how you can do it. Now, at the start of the show, I've spoken about why I think there'll be goals in this game between Chelsea and Manchester United. And I feel like 2 reasons, and you guys will probably agree. I think defensively, as I touched on before, with Colwell and Fofana, I think they're a bit naive and experienced. And also with us, with Lissandro, I mean, watch the Porto game with Lissandro and Delay. That'll tell you everything. That's why I think Jackson's going to cause some problems, and potentially Madueke. But it's at Old Trafford. Ruud's in charge. There is this kind of good aura and good feeling around the club at the moment. So I just had this kind of, I just feel like, yeah, it's going to be like a bit of a barn burner potentially. I might be wrong. It might be a 0-0. It might be a boring Chelsea 1-0 win. But does anyone really see that genuinely? Both teams are really, really strong. So I'm hoping for a competitive, good game. I don't want United fans to get the hopes up after that performance against Leicester in the Carabao Cup, and then we get brought right back down to reality with Chelsea winning 3 or 4-1. Do you know what I mean? And that, fingers crossed that doesn't happen, but of course in football there is always potential. Ugarte needs to do a job on Palmer. Yeah, Zedit spoke about that. Definitely agree. Herrera kind of job. Park Ji-sung kind of job. Completely agree with that. We need an Ander Herrera performance out of Ugarte. If Palmer goes for a piss, you follow him. Yep, agreed. My Damn United in the chat saying afternoon, Nick, and everyone in the chat. Hope you're all well. Here's also hoping for an exciting game. Ruud. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I need to feel optimistic, or how do you guys feel? Do you generally feel positive, or is it like fake confidence after that Leicester game? Because I really feel mixed about this one. I don't know how to feel. I also don't know where the goals are going to come from, because I look at the front 3, I'm like, that is probably our best front 3: Rashford, Garnacho, and Højlund, right? But in the Premier League, right, I think 2 is the max goals they've got. Let me just pull it up. I'm pretty sure. I want to double check it. You have to really scroll down when you look at the top scorers. I mean, Gavardio's got 3 goals. He's got more goals than any of our forwards this season. We're not even in the top 20. So that tells you, again, everything you need to know. I can't even go to the next page. So United aren't even on there. Let's just go Man United. Premier League competition. I don't know why. It's literally, when it's hard to find a fucking your team, that's how you know they've just not scored any at all. There we go. Right, English Premier League. Garnacho, 2 goals. He's our top goal scorer in the league. 2 goals. Everyone else has got 1. So, I tell you what, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've scored 8 goals in general. Garnacho has 2. And then it's Rashford, De Ligt, Xerxes, Casemiro, Ahmad, Højlund. Højlund's got 1 goal. So, it's all right saying that is our best front 3. I think the majority of people would agree. But if it is, then that's pretty scary, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? Solanke's scored 2 in this game alone, who's considered a bit of a flop of a signing so far. And he's scored more than the majority of our attacking players. So that is a massive, massive concern. And we thought initially with Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in, he would be that guy to kind of break that mould and change that narrative with Rasmus. And I know he's had his injuries. I know he's been out. But I think we need to stop making excuses for him. and they need to start delivering in a game like this today. Because if they don't, and then they go and do it against, I don't know, another cup team or what have you, or a team in Europa League, then it's like, oh, so these guys can only turn up in the Barnsley games and the Leicester games when it's like, oh, everything's happy, but when there's a bit more structure, it's a bit more serious, it's a bit more competitive, you go missing. I want Rasmus to score today. He needs to start scoring. He's our main number 9. You know, at the start of the season, there was people making comparisons with Nicholas Jackson, and there isn't a comparison because they're scoring more. These guys are scoring a lot more goals this season. I touched on it before. Let me go back to this. The top scorers in the league at the moment. Erling Haaland, right, who's gone quiet for the past 2-3 games. I think he's done fuck all. 11 goals so far this season. M. Burno for Brentford's on 8. Chris Wood's got 8 goals. Cole Palmer's got 7. Nicholas Jackson has got 6. Danny Welbeck, who played for us about 10 years ago, has got 6 goals for Brighton. Visser, Delap, Jimenez, like these guys should be above them. There's no disrespect to the players that I'm talking about, but they should be above him. They should be above him. And I expect more. I expect a lot more. Likewise with assists as well, because you can flip that narrative and you can say, all right, well, are they being supplied enough? None of our players are in the top assist apart from Bruno, who's got 2. That for Bruno Fernandes. We're in November and he's only got 2 assists in the league. Shocking. No way near good enough. So definitely needs to improve. And otherwise, if Rasmus doesn't score in the next game, it starts becoming a bit of a worry. But this is, I know he's only got a short period of time to kind of have an effect on the team, and there's not too much you can tweak kind of tactically because the games come so thick and fast. But it's Ruud's prerogative now to get these attackers. I know he talks about his defensive game tactically is really good, and you know, people, casual people who who talk about Ruud van Nistelrooy will probably say, oh, he's obviously good at coaching attackers because he was an attacker himself, but his defensive game was really good as well. He had a good record in the Eredivisie. So it's a time today to see really what you can get out of these players, because I believe that they're obviously better than 14th where they are in the table. They're much better than that. They're just not showing it, and I think they got a bit fed up on the Ten Hag with his tactics and stubbornness and head teacher kind of approach. So now Ruud's come in, he's the friend, similar to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did. He's given him a bit of freedom. You need to repay that faith and go put in a performance. It's one of those games today where I'm like, I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue what's going to happen. United could win 3-1 and shock everyone, or we get battered 4-1. And it wouldn't surprise me either way. I think it's a chance and an opportunity for Ruud, if this is a small window, for him to show what he's about as a manager and show his tactics, and to show in-game management is something you can definitely show more than those kind of things I've just referenced, because you're in the moment, innit? So what subs do you make? How well do you know the players? These kind of things is what I'm looking at. In terms of quality, here's a question I want to ask you guys, and get involved in the comment section. How far away are we from Chelsea? Or are we? And when we talk about just pure players on the pitch, so Chelsea's starting 11 today, let's just say, and United starting 11, which is a better team on paper, and who has better quality? What do you think? Because I'm reading those names: De Ligt, Lissandro, Mazraoui, Onana, Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho, Højlund, Rashford. They're all exciting players. All exciting players. You've got a good blend of experience in there, a good blend of warriors, and a good blend of athletic talent and ability. But they just can't seem to click together as a team. But then Chelsea, likewise, I think their front four is really good. And again, they all complement each other. They've all got different qualities. Palmer, obviously, is probably the best player in the Premier League at the minute. There's no two ways about that. But then, like, the balance with Caicedo and Lavia is really good. They're a good combative relationship. And then, likewise, with the backline, well, the backline's the one thing with Chelsea we like. That's where we would probably come in. But then we've been shocking defensive players. So, I don't know. I really, really don't know. It's a lot of the time I have an answer for my own question. But I struggle with this, to be honest. I'm looking forward to sort out free kicks and allowed to get box inside. A Lucky Singh referencing set pieces there. UTFR says, I think we're on par with Chelsea. We've got a really good squad. They just need to be used correctly. The only player I'm taking from them is Palmer. Well, we did the combined 11 when we did the preview. And I think we had, if memory serves, I think we had Onana, Mazraoui, I think it was Colwell and Johnny Evans. I think it was Gusto we put in at left back, potentially. And then it was Casado, Ericsson, Palmer, Madueke, Jackson, Garnacho, I think we went for. So it was quite balanced. Cucurella was there at left back. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, though. I don't like Cucurella. It should have been Gusto, shouldn't it? I think Gusto's a better player than Cucurella. So, sometimes when you're doing it, there's a bit of bias because, of course, we are Manchester United fans. But I think that's pretty fair. You definitely wouldn't have Chelsea's fucking goalkeeper in there, would you? He's absolutely dog meat. I think defensively they're crap. So a couple of our players can sneak in there. I personally would have had a Casado and Lavia alongside each other. But Sam and Treyas went for Christian Eriksen in the form that he's been in. It's hard to argue. Likewise, Cole Palmer's a given. You're never having Bruno Fernandes in, over him. And yeah, the front three kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? I think, Neto's been in and out of the team. Same thing with Sancho. But Madueke, Palmer have been good. So then you Garnacho, and that makes the front three. I think that is a fair... It could be arguments in the back line for sure. But I think that is a fair team that we kind of created there. Now, we touched on Jadon Sancho. I do want to talk about him. I know he's not eligible for today's game, and apparently he was ill anyway and all this kind of bollocks. But again, we had a lot of people, especially in this this fan base. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about other people in this kind of media area who was talking about Sancho because he got 2 assists in his first couple of games or whatever it was. We've mugged you off. Cheers for 25 mil bargain. We've got him back playing our years and all this shit. And Dortmund made the same mistake when he put in one good performance against, I can't remember who it was in the Champions League. It might have been a quarter-final game or something. And they was going on like, oh, well, you're not familiar with his game and all this kind of fucking bollocks. And now he's got off the boil. What a surprise. If you've listened to Maresca in press conferences, what he's been talking about, exact same things we heard at United. Either one, he's not available, he's not too well at the moment, something to do with his ear, or he's got a bit of a bummed up nose, or some crap like that. He needs to get his immune system checked. Or maybe he's just staying up really late until the night at 3 a.m. playing clubs. I don't know what he's doing in his spare time. But one thing I know he's not doing is working extremely hard. And this is a theme. You've seen it at Dortmund, when he's fucking setting alarms, or his mates are setting alarms for him to go training, or if it's at City, Pep didn't fancy him. Even back to his Watford days, when he was coaches saying, well, sometimes he's not interested, and da-da-da. And that's what you do. When it's all right having all the talent in the world. Adel Taarabt had all the talent in the world. Did he really apply himself correctly off the pitch, week in, week out? And, there's plenty of examples in football where you can say that. He's definitely talented. But you just can't get a consistency out of him. Dortmund have been the only team to do it. And Maresca took a bit of a gamble. Sure, he probably likes the way he plays systematically. And he likes those kind of thinkers on the pitch. But it's same issues that we had at Manchester United, where he's running into players, he's not physical enough, or he's not tracking back enough. Chelsea are having the same issues now. So yeah. In other words, thank you for the £25 million, I think I'll say. Appreciate it. Cheers. His attitude absolutely stinks. He's a total clown. Amorim isn't entertaining it. No chance. No chance. If Amorim came in, a wing-back system, Sancho ain't getting a fucking sniff. Maybe with... because he plays with those inside 10s, he would have got a couple of games there, and that could have been interesting because... Again, I don't have my B license or UEFA C license, whatever it's called. But I'd imagine with being those inside forwards, your main focus is creativity and linking play and combinations, which Sancho's actually good at. Tracking back, not as much because you've got your wing backs providing cover there, and you've got the 2 midfielders behind you and 3 centre backs behind them. So your ultimate goal is being creative, providing combinations, and being an option for players in certain triangles and diamonds. That's how I imagine it in my head, but I'm not sure. So Jim Ratcliffe, unsurprisingly in attendance today, yet to be present for United League win this year after attending Spurs at home 2-2, Chelsea away 4-3, Liverpool home 2-2, Arsenal home 1-0, Liverpool home 3-0, and Villa away. Well, that's a good luck charm, innit? Cheers for that, Samuel Luckhurst. Always with the positive tweets. You'd always expect Samuel Luckhurst to put out a positive tweet, can't you? Okay, my God. Did anyone see what he said today, by the way? About when he was, I don't know where he was, but he got asked about his sailing team and said, well, is there any similarities or qualities that you see in both teams? And, you know, obviously you've won with your sailing team, you've won with your cycling team. Can you do it with this United team? And he said, well, ultimately, it's about quality. If you want to win things, you can't put Max Verstappen in a Williams car, I think he said. Something like that, and expect him to win. It just won't happen. And I think what he was basically saying is, our quality of squad isn't good enough to win the league, which when you take a face value, you're like, yeah, it should. But it just felt like he's saying, like, we were really shit, and we're not going to win anything when we're really shit, so we need to improve the quality. It's like the speed of the boat, do you know what I mean, or the speed of the car, what he was referencing. So I think, yeah, I think it's actually quite refreshing having someone come in and be very cutthroat and not polish a turd, do you know what I mean? Because I think the reign under the Glazers, I know the Glazers are still here, but under, like, Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward, everything would all be polished and everything's great on social media. And don't worry about the performances on the pitches. Look at these figures here and look how well we're doing. And the narrative would already spin. And I think Ed Woodward hired his mate from, who was it? What's his name? He was on Sunday Social. Who spanned the PR for him. Oh, my God. Forgot his name. Neil Ashton, was it? I think. It was on Sunday Supplement, wasn't it? I think it was. And I had his mate, and then you just see all this positivity after a bad result, or we're going to sign this player after like a 3-0 loss, and everyone will get distracted with that and saying, oh, yeah, and then it take the focus away. And I think it's interesting how it works. I like someone coming in with honesty, cutthroat, and a professional approach. That is what we needed. So I have no qualms about, you know, kind of what he was saying there. Absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. I'm interested to see what Ruud's going to say heading into this game, how he feels. I'm sure he'll be nervous because you don't want to get a battering at Chelsea, do you? 4-1 did it finish? Maddison scored. Oh, my goodness me. Wow. They just beat Aston Villa 4-1. The Premier League is mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad. Let me have a look at this. I need to check my fantasy team because I took Maddison out like an idiot. And to be fair, he didn't start the game, so I was like, well, obviously, Gaffer, that's the correct decision you've made. Don't worry about it. You've made the right decision there. And in a way, I've got Garnacho, Palmer, and Burno, and Buemo, sorry, and Dallo to play. But I got Diaz in and Garnacho, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit of a stupid choice. Because my mate's got Rodgers in, he's got Solanke in, and I'm pretty sure he's got Johnson in as well. So he's absolutely smashed it there. Oh no, he's took Solanke out. Maybe not. He is Doink the Clown for doing that. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well, yeah, the wound's not hurting as much now, which is great. When do you live every day? Yes, live every day, pretty much twice a day. We're going to be live again tonight after the game, discussing it in full. So make sure you come and join us. And then we have a pros and cons. What we've got tomorrow, which I want to tell you guys, actually, I'm really excited for. We've got a Sporting Lisbon fan who makes content, who's really, really good. And he's coming on the show tomorrow to explain Ruben Amorim in depth in terms of tactics, in terms of his approach, what you can expect from his character, how he's done at Sporting Lisbon, how he feels as a fan with him leaving, and all that kind of stuff. So a really good insight. I know there's a lot of people looking for general insight into this guy, and I think this guy can offer it. From the clips that I've seen of him, from the shows that I've watched, it's going to be really good. So yeah, tune in tomorrow. Sam Fonseca is spot on UTFR. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah. I'm going to get him on. I'm going to get his thoughts. Yeah, I like his videos. I like the way he speaks about the club. So, I have a lot of questions for him, as I'm sure Sam does. and that's live at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And then we've got pros and cons as well. That'll be that's 12 o'clock, Borovan. So yeah, please do not miss that. So I'm really looking forward to it, to pick his brain, because I mean I likewise I'm sure you guys have done it as well. We've all done our research on Amorim and what type of coach he is and how the back five system is going to work. But I like hearing it from a fan. It's just better. Do you know what I mean? Like, just getting that. Because, you know, if you talk to us about United, I think we'll give you a much better opinion than a lot of people. Because we watch them week in, week out. We really do our due diligence. And we get the sense of emotion that's going on around the club as well. And that's kind of what I want to dive into with Sam. So, yeah, excited about that. But, look, we've got a game to get through today. And we've got a performance to put on. And, yeah, we should have the quotes coming in from Ruud van Nistelrooy shortly, I'm hoping. A lot of people in attendance today for this game. I think I've just seen Jaap Stam, Peter Schmeichel, Dimitar Berbatov. You know, I was going to say it's the last game of the weekend. I know we've got Monday Night Football. But, yeah, the one person, I know I've touched on him a little bit, but the one person I will look towards today, Cole Palmer, is a example of what United should have. We should have Cole Palmer right now. This might sound really harsh and disloyal, but if you offered me a swap right now, Bruno Fernandes gone, Cole Palmer in for the next 5 years, I would. I think it's going to come to a point where we need to have a conversation about Bruno Fernandes. And it might not be right now, you know, because, let's not get it twisted. I don't want to be disrespectful. He's the captain. He's dragged us through some of the shittest periods of this club. And he has been one of the better players for the past couple of years. Probably the best signing post-Fergus. So let me get that out there. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying, it's getting to a point where, one, I don't know if Amorim is going to use him as much as people think. That's one thing that I'll throw out there. Two, he's just signed a new contract, so he's definitely going to be here for the next couple of years. But I'm talking about 2 years' time when he's 31, 32, 33, whatever. I don't know how old he is at the moment. I think we do need to move on from him, because there is a heavy reliance on Fernandes to be our main guy. He is the talisman for us. He is our best player. And when he doesn't turn up, we don't turn up as a team. And I think we need to become more... We do need those kind of talismans. I just talked about, you know, Cole Palmer there. Ødegaard is typically it for Arsenal. De Bruyne is usually it for Man City. And why is that? Because they are all operating in those attacking midfield kind of areas. They are arguably the most important players on the pitch and most important position, really, for a lot of teams. So, yeah, there needs to be a conversation at some point with him, and we need to have a contingency plan. Who's going to come next? Are we going to try our luck with a Palmer? Probably not, because he'll be overly expensive. He's there for the next 8-10 years. I mean, he's basically doing a prison stretch at Chelsea. If you've looked at his contract, it's crazy. So, who's going to be next? Will it be a Florian Wirtz? Will he go for someone different? I don't know. Right now, it's okay, but I do think there's a massive reliance on him, and he doesn't always turn up in the big games, just in my opinion. Sam's a big Harry Maguire fan. He's great to listen to. I'm putting out there, I think Ahmad could be our Cole Palmer. That's a lot of expectation, though. Listen, UTFR, I'm sure me and you agree on a lot of things, right? I think Ahmad's a special player. I think he's a very good talent. I think he can be used in Amorim's system as one of those inside 10s, because if you look at where he plays in the half spaces anyway, it suits Ahmad down to the ground, doesn't it? Really. When you talk about combinations, intelligence in those, you know, spatial awareness, he's got all of that. And I think, but whether he could be a Cole Palmer or not, I don't know. I love him, but I'm not that convinced just yet. Callum Huddleston in the chat saying, come on United 2-1, my predictions, going early there. Amorim will not have Bruno giving the ball away every time. Bruno's on borrowed time in that setup. Agreed. I agree. Like I said, we agree. Please do smash like the video for us. We're on 7,343 subs. So if we can have 7 subscribers whilst we're live right now, that'd be great to get us to 7,350. If not, who cares anyway? You know what I mean? Subscribers is a vanity metric. I would rather have genuine conversation and interest. That's what I'm all here for. Yeah, I want to see what's Ruud saying, man. Give me some quotes to feed off. Did anyone see Pep, by the way, moaning about his team? He's like, oh, we've got so many injuries against Bournemouth. We've got so many injuries. I just look at his team that started. Alright, let me go through this. I thought, you've got to be fucking kidding me, haven't you? Got to be kidding me. So yesterday, they had Edison, Kyle Walker, Akanji, Ake, Cavadio, Kovacic, Foden, Silva, Gundogan, Nunes, Haaland. Haaland was probably a total package of 100 million, if not more. Gundogan was regarded as one of the greatest players under Pep. Matheus Nunes cost 50 million. Bernardo Silva is a phenomenal talent. Phil Foden got Player of the Year last year. Kovacic is very competent, and has actually been pretty decent for them. Cavadio has been insane. Ake and Akanji, make of that of whatever you will, but Akanji is still very good, and one of the best buys I've seen for like 15 million quid, by the way, who Ragnick mentioned. Kyle Walker's been off it, yeah, granted, a little bit, and Edison had a great performance. And then on the bench, they've got fucking Doku, Rico Lewis, De Bruyne, Savinho. I'm like, is this guy cracked up or something? Moaning about his team. I was like, what, the same thing with us? Oh, we've got injuries. Fuck me, when we had, what was it, 60 plus injuries and absences last season, and everyone was on our back saying that shouldn't matter, you should still see this or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, get the fuck. You're moaning about, yeah, you're missing some important players. Like, crack on with it, mate. Crack on with it. This is the Premier League. You get injuries. Move on. We have to deal with it for years, and still are dealing with it, by the way. People don't think we're in an injury crisis at the moment, but let's not forget. It was the same thing with the Liverpool game, sorry, just before I go into our team. With Arsenal against Liverpool, everyone was talking about Ødegaard's missing, centre-back's missing, this guy's missing. Liverpool had players missing as well. Alisson wasn't in the team, didn't play for him. I think Harvey Elliott was injured. A couple of attackers. Jota was out. Didn't hear anything about that. So, yeah, this kind of victim mentality from Arsenal fans and City fans, utter bollocks. Utter bollocks. I'm not buying it. I'm not having it. They've got good enough squads, especially Manchester City. Especially Manchester City. If United beat Chelsea and Leicester and Spurs draw with Villa, then lose to Ipswich and Villa, lose at Anfield, then Chelsea draw with Arsenal, Amorim will take over United with 2 points off the top 4. Oh, that's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Surprising Cucurella isn't starting, isn't it? I know Gusto's a good player, but I really thought they would go for Cucurella. But we'll see. Namboru says, Aisha says, where do you think, I can't read out the first part of that, but who do you think will win this match, my bro? To be honest with you, my prediction that I did the other day was 4-3 Chelsea. But I look at both of them teams now, I'm like, there's a lot of quality in there. I think you might get a draw. I think you might get a 2-2 draw. That's probably a better prediction from me. All depends on how we start, though. All depends on how we start. I have to say that. Some quotes coming in from Roy Keane, the greatest Premier League captain ever, saying there are a few players in the United team in big positions who can't run right, which is a big problem. But they also have players in the team who don't want to run, or when they do run, they don't run hard enough, fast enough, or long enough. I've heard that before. Amorim has to get that into the dressing room, that mentality for the players who aren't doing it. You have to try and move them on, which is difficult because they're not on long-term contracts. I think that's a very interesting point, as always, from Roy Keane. But I look at that and I'm like, look, De Ligt 1v1 for pace can be done. So can Lissandro. Midfield-wise, it's better in terms of physicality today, but typically we have Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. And that is not a physical midfield. No way near it. You look at how Casemiro was pushed off the ball against Liverpool. Look at Christian Eriksen off the ball. Is crap. Bruno's very petulant and goes wandering. It's not cohesive enough and it's not physical enough. Rashford doesn't track back enough. No way near enough. So when you have that, when you're carrying a couple of players, it has a giant effect on your team. I watched teams today like Aston Villa. I know they got beat. But as a unit, together, you John McGinns, you Morgan Rogers, Ollie Watkins, they run and they run and they run. Even, like, City's probably the most talented team in the league, right? Look how hard they work off the ball. Your Bernardo Silvas, your Fodens. No excuse for any of them. So you can't carry passengers in this league. You can't do it. And I agree. I think Amorim will come in And I think he'll address that, and I think he'll sort it out. And that is one of the biggest things, because there's been too many passages for too many years. And it's time to start being cutthroat. Yeah, so Dalot was on the right apparently today, and Mazraoui at left back. So Mazraoui versus Madueke, and Dalot versus Neto, which I am worried about extremely. Van Nistelrooy asked if Ruben Amorim had any involvement in the team. Oh, that's what a stupid question that is. No, there's no contact about this. It's very clear. It also communicated with the players that I'll be in charge until Sunday next week with the Leicester game, and after that, the new manager will then be in charge. We'll take over, and then we'll see what it is. I think that's such a stupid question to ask. He's asked, Ruud van Nistelrooy's been asked if it's been a challenging week. He said, correct. I said on Wednesday it was mixed emotions, of course. The beginning of the week, Eric leaving and taking over, the Wednesday game, how it all went. So, yeah, correct. You go through a lot of emotions. Yeah, he's looking forward to it. He's looking forward to it. Right, get your score predictions in before I head off. What's your approval about the new coach of Man U, and can you please tell us what is about him? Well, Namburu, we have a Sporting Lisbon fan on the show tomorrow, also a content creator, who's coming on to discuss Ruben Amorim. So if you want to know about him, everything you need to know is going to be on that show at 12 o'clock. Come and tune in. Promise you it'll be good. Like UTFR says, everyone needs to listen to Sam tomorrow. He'll give you a brilliant insight into Amorim, his style and principles. There we have it. There we have it. So, score predictions, guys. I know some of you have gone earlier. What are we saying? I'm going to change mine. I went 4-3 in the preview to Chelsea. I'm going to change it to 2-2 Man United. I think there'll be goals. I think it'll be flair. I think there'll be a good few yellow cards, maybe some controversial decisions. What Super Sunday should be about. But more importantly, as always, I hope we win. I hope we win. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Me, Chivy, and Sam, and maybe even Aaron, I think, are on the review after the game, talking about everything. As always, guys, you know we'll be here to discuss it in depth. So I hope to see you all there. Leave a like on the video for us just before you head off, and let's go United. Hopefully.